Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Ridwan Tias. My student number is 33220172. And I am from class 33.7A.07. I make this video for the final text of cross-cultural understanding. Okay, now I will start from the part 1.1, culture shock. Okay, culture shock refers to the psychological and emotional reaction experienced by individuals when they encounter an unfamiliar cultural environment. According to Oberg, in 1960, culture shock involved feelings of anxiety and stress caused by the loss of familiar cultural cues. This happened when people can no longer rely on their usual social norms, values, and daily practices. Ward and his colleagues in 2001 further explained culture shock as a part of broader process of psychological and sociocultural adaptation. In other words, culture shock is not only about feeling uncomfortable, but also about learning how to adapt to a new cultural environment. So, recent studies support these classical theories by describing culture shock as a multidimensional experience. It involves emotional response such as stress or loneliness, cognitive response like confusion about social norms, and behavioral response including difficulty adjusting communication style. Contemporary research emphasizes that culture shock is not a single moment of crisis, but a dynamic and ongoing process that changes over time as individuals develop cultural awareness and competence. Okay, next slide. Culture shock usually develops through several steps during the adaptation process. According to Oberg's theory, the first stage is the honeymoon stage. In this stage, individuals feel excited and curious about the new culture, and they tend to have positive attitudes towards cultural differences. So the second stage is the frustration or crisis stage. At this point, individuals may experience stress, confusion, and homesickness. They often struggle to understand cultural norms and communication style, which can lead to emotional discomfort. The third stage is the adjustment stage here. Individuals gradually begin to understand cultural rules and develop better coping strategies. Communication improves and daily life becomes more manageable. And the last final stage is the adaptation stage. In this stage, individuals gain cultural competence and are able to function effectively and comfortably in the new cultural environment. So recent studies support this model by emphasizing that the stages are not always linear. People may move back and forth between stages as part of the ongoing cultural adaptation process. Recent intercultural studies between 2020 and 2025 also support this model and emphasize that cultural adaptation is a dynamic process rather than a fixed sequence of stages. Okay, next slide. One common example of cultural shock can be seen in the experience of international students. For example, an Indonesian student studying in the United States might struggle with the direct communication style used in classroom. In Indonesian culture, students often show respect by being quiet and avoiding disagreement, while in American academic culture, students are expected to speak actively, express opinion, and think critically. The situation usually occurs during the frustration stage of culture shock. The student may feel stressed, confused, or anxious because the communication norms and academic expectation are very different. According to recent studies on international students, differences in academic culture most common causes of culture shock, especially during the early period of study abroad. Okay, next slide. Another example of culture shock can be found in the workplace. For instance, an Indonesian employee working in Japan may experience difficulties adjusting to strict punctuality in direct communication and high expectation of discipline and responsibility. Meanwhile, in Indonesia, workplace interaction are often more flexible and relationship-oriented, while in Japanese work culture, punctuality and responsibility are strongly emphasized. The situation usually occurs during the frustration stage of culture shock, where the individual feels stressed due to differences in work values and communication style. According to recent studies on expatriates, differences in workplace culture are one of the main causes of culture shock during cross-cultural adaptation. Okay, that's all for the part 1.1. Now we continue to the part 1.2. Part 1.2, nonverbal communication. So, nonverbal communication refers to the process of conveying message without using spoken or written language. It includes body language, facial expression, eye contact, gesture, posture, tone of voice, and physical distance. According to Hall in his book Beyond Culture, published in 1976, nonverbal communication plays a crucial role in intercultural interaction. He introduced the concept of proxemics and explained the difference between high context and low context cultures, where meaning is often conveyed implicitly rather than verbally. Uh, and Ekman and Friesen also explained that facial expression and body movement can convey important meanings and emotions, sometimes even more strongly than words. Recent intercultural communication studies support these classical theories by emphasizing that nonverbal communication is culture-specific and closely related to cultural values and social norms. So scholars argue that misunderstanding nonverbal clues is one of the most common source of miscommunication and culture shock in cross-cultural context. So recent studies continue to emphasize that nonverbal behavior must be interpreted within its cultural context. Okay, we continue to the next slide. Main types of nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication can be categorized into several main types. The first is kinesics, which includes body movement, facial expression, and gesture. These elements often express emotion and attitudes without words. So the second type is eye contact, also known as oculesics. Different cultures have different rules regarding how often and how long people should look at others during interaction. The third type is proxemics, which refers to the use of personal space and physical distance. According to Hall, the appropriate distance between people varies across cultures. Another type is paralinguistic, which includes tone of voice, intonation, volume, and speaking pace. These features can change the meaning of spoken words. The last type is haptics, or the use of touch in communication, such as handshakes or pats on the shoulder. Recent studies emphasize that all these nonverbal elements are interpreted differently across cultures and are strongly influenced by social norms and cultural values. Okay, we continue to the next slide. Nonverbal communication can be clearly seen in cross-cultural situations where the same behavior has different meanings. One example is eye contact. In many Western cultures, such as the United States, maintaining eye contact is seen as a sign of confidence and honesty. However, in many Asian cultures, prolonged eye contact may be interpreted as disrespectful or confrontational. Another example is hand gesture. For instance, raising an open palm is commonly understood in Indonesia as a signal to stop. In contrast, in the United States, the same gesture is often used as a friendly way to greet someone. This example shows that nonverbal communication is culture specific. When people are not aware of these differences, misunderstanding and discomfort might occur in cross-cultural interaction. Okay. Here are the references for the part 1.1 and part 1.2. Okay, now I will continue to the next part. Case study stereotype of Chinese Indonesian, part 2.A. Okay, first slide. This case study focus on Sen, a Chinese Indonesian from a Peranakan family, although there is a common belief that Chinese Indonesian are naturally good at mathematics and business. Sen does not fit this stereotype. She struggles with numbers and has no interest in running a business or managing money. The stereotype presented in this case can be categorized as a positive stereotype or a general cultural assumption. It is considered positive because it appears to associate Chinese Indonesian with intelligence and business skills. However, it is still a stereotype because it generalizes an entire ethnic group and ignores individual differences. As a result, people around Sen expect her to be good at counting or managing money simply because of her ethnic background, not because of her personal abilities. Okay, next slide. This stereotype has several negative impacts on Sen. Emotionally, she may feel pressure to meet expectations that do not match her abilities. This can lead to stress, frustration, and a decrease in self-confidence. Socially, Sen might be judged based on her ethnic background rather than her individual personality or skill. This can result on labeling and misunderstanding in social interaction. Academically, people may assume that she should naturally excel in mathematics. When she struggles, her difficulties might be ignored or underestimated, and she might not receive proper academic support. Culturally, the stereotype reinforces ethnic generalization and overlooks the diversity that exists within Chinese Indonesian community. Okay, next. At first glance, this stereotype may seem to have some positive impact. Yeah. For example, Sen might be perceived as intelligent or competent, and people may trust her with tasks related to number or money. However, these positive perceptions are superficial and conditional. They are based on ethnic assumption rather than her real abilities. Instead of helping her, this expectation can increase pressure and emotional stress. Moreover, when she does not meet this expectation, her failure may be judged more harshly. Overall, the stereotype is harmful because it limits Sen's individual identity and ignores her personal talents, interests, and abilities. Okay, next, the specific stereotype highlighted in this case is the belief that Chinese Indonesian are naturally good at mathematics, business, and money management, and that they are likely to own or run shops. This stereotype strongly influence the way people perceive Sen instead of seeing her as an individual with unique abilities and interests. People judge her based on her ethnic background. As a result, her skills are assumed rather than understood. This perception also ignores her personal interests and academic limitation. Over time, it can reduce her identity to an ethnic label and limit her freedom to choose her own academic and career path. Okay, uh, here is the source for this part. Okay, now I will continue to the next part. Part 2B, Summary of Cultural Theories by Aaron Fox and Will King during the Cultural Festival Day. Okay, this part summarizes the presentation delivered by the native speakers Aaron Fox and Will King during the International Cultural Festival Day. The main focus on the presentation was communication and collaboration across cultures. They emphasized that effective communication goes beyond language proficiency. Even when people speak the same language, misunderstanding can still occur because cultural meaning exists beyond grammar and vocabulary. Therefore, understanding culture is essential for successful intercultural communication. Okay, next slide. This slide highlights the differences between language and communication. Language mainly focuses on words and grammar, while communication involves meaning, intention, and interpretation. The presentation emphasized that cultural context strongly influence how messages are understood. There are two main cultural communication styles. The direct communication is clear, explicit, and task-oriented, and it is commonly found in British and other Western culture. In contrast, indirect communication is polite, implied, and harmony-oriented, which is common in Indonesian and many Asian cultures. They show that even when people use the same language, different cultural style can lead to different interpretation. Okay, next, case example. A clear example of cultural misunderstanding was shared through the Speakwise case. During a proposal review, a British manager gave very direct feedback by saying, "This part is weak. We need to change it." In British culture, this type of direct feedback usually means that the idea is good but can be improved further. However, the Indonesian team interpreted this statement differently. They feel hurt, embarrassed, and believed that the speaker was angry. As a result, the atmosphere became uncomfortable and people stopped participating. This case shows that the real problem was not English language ability but cultural meaning. The intention and interpretation did not match, even though the same language was used. Okay, next, the key lesson from this presentation is that cultural misunderstanding is often the main cause of miscommunication, not language ability. Communication involves intention, interpretation, and cultural values. To improve cross-cultural collaboration, several practical strategies can be applied. This includes starting feedback with strength, using polite suggestion rather than direct criticism, inviting others' opinions, and checking mutual understanding. So, in conclusion, language help us build connection, but culture help us build understanding. When both are combined, effective communication and collaboration can be achieved. Okay, we continue to the next part, part 2C, body language and culture shock. Okay, this case show how body language can lead to culture shock. Amran feels confused when his American friend raises a hand with fingers spread open. In Indonesian culture, this gesture is commonly understood as a signal to stop. However, in the United States, the same gesture is often used as a casual way to say hello or to wave. Because the gesture carries different meaning in each culture, Amran becomes unsure how to respond. This confusion creates discomfort and represents a form of culture shock caused by differences in nonverbal communication. Okay, next slide. Cultural gestures influencing body language. The meaning of body language is strongly influenced by cultural factor. Each culture has its own norms and social rules that determine how gestures are interpreted. In Indonesian culture, politeness and caution are highly valued, which is why certain gestures such as raising an open hand might be interpreted as a command to stop. In contrast, American culture often values openness and friendliness, so the same gesture is commonly used as a casual greeting. This case show that the same body language can carry completely different meanings depending on cultural background. Yeah, body language can carry completely different. Yeah. Okay, we continue to the next slide. This misunderstanding can have several negative effects on Amran's interaction with others. Emotionally, Amran may feel embarrassed and anxious because he is unsure whether his response is appropriate. He may also fear appearing rude and or disrespectful. Socially, this situation can cause hesitation in interacting with people from different cultural backgrounds. Amran might become less confident and avoid social situation to prevent further misunderstanding. From a communication perspective, the risk of misinterpretation increase, which can lead to breakdowns in interaction and ongoing uncertainty in future cross-cultural communication. Okay, we continue to the next slide. How to the problem-solving strategies to handle this situation. Amran can apply several problem-solving strategies. He can politely ask for clarification when he is unsure about the meaning of a gesture. Observing local body language and social cues can also help him understand how people communicate non-verbally in a different culture. In addition, learning common gesture and practicing cultural awareness will reduce misunderstanding and increase confidence in cross-cultural interaction. So, in conclusion, this presentation showed that culture shock and miscommunication are often caused by cultural differences rather than language ability. Stereotypes and misunderstanding in nonverbal communication can affect emotion, identity, and social interaction. Therefore, developing cultural awareness is essential in intercultural communication. By understanding and respecting cultural differences, we can communicate more effectively and build positive relationship across culture. Okay, that's all for my presentation today. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.